Hi guys, and welcome back to This is Fortaleza. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jaque, and Fortaleza is a community where I shed light about mental wellness and personal development. And today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I feel like is fundamental for not only your relationship with your significant other, but your relationship with yourself as well. And I'm going to be talking about the feminine and the masculine energy. Okay, and I do want to give a disclaimer. I am aware that gender is on a spectrum. I'm not going to be talking about gender. I'm not going to be talking about sexual orientation or roles. I'm going to be talking about the actual feminine energy and the masculine energy that we all have inside. I'm going to be distinguishing different characteristics of the masculine and feminine energy and how they look. And I'm going to be giving you an example of, how it has taken a toll in my relationship in the past. So with that being said, let's dive right into it, guys. So to begin, I want to give a disclaimer in order to understand the feminine and masculine energy, you do need to know what the law of polarity means. And a lot of gurus, Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, any motivational personal development, even science itself, talks about the law of polarity. And basically what it is, it's a concept that everything has two poles. For example, we have up and down, we have love and hate, and we have feminine and masculine. And basically how I would like you guys to think of it is, can you truly know what happiness is if you don't know what sadness is? Is there really love without pain? So that's a great synonym that I like to use, analogy. That way you guys are aware of the polarities, because, there is a, north and south. It's just the way it is. So basically you need to appreciate the dark to appreciate the light. And one thing that I do want to clarify is that neither of these things is weak or bad or strong or good. Or again, it just is. Basically, it means that opposites attract. People, sometimes it's like science. You get a negative electron and a positive electron, and it creates an atom. It's basically what the law of polarity means, okay? And it's super important to know, because a lot of times you tend to date the same person, or I'm attracting the same person, or I'm very X, Y, and Z, and I don't know why. Well, this is the reason why, because you basically attract what your opposite is. And it doesn't mean all the time. There is situations where you will find yourself dating someone who's very similar to you. In the past, I have, I've only been in 2 relationships in my life. And my first relationship, I was very young. Obviously, this was pre-personal development. And I found myself being with someone who was very masculine energy. And at that time, again, I didn't know what any energies were. It was just masculine. I'm going to go into it a little later on, but there was a lot of conflict in that relationship. With that being said, let's talk about how the masculine and the feminine energies look and how they show up. So basically, the masculine energy is when we use the left side of our brain. And the left side of the brain is more logical. It does all your reasoning for you. It thinks, it's more analytical. It's basically the logical side of your brain. And you operate off of, well, I think this is why they're acting like that. You do a lot of thinking, analyzing, and characteristics on a masculine energy is you're very focused, you're strategic and logical. You're very linear. So you're I have a point A, and then you go to my point B, and it's just, I'm going to get to the target. So a lot of these people are very driven. They're very practical, and they speak to make a point. And when it comes to decision making or analyzing, a lot of times they look inward for answers. So you're very internal, well, why is that happening? So those are a few characteristics on how the masculine energy looks like in comparison with the feminine energy. The feminine energy is when you use your right side of the brain, and your right side of the brain tends to be more creative. It's more emotional. This is where people operate off, well, I feel this type of way. So you're basically working off emotion, feelings. And one thing I do want to clarify is a lot of times when you are in your feminine energy, you are passive. And there's a huge misconception that when someone is passive, they're submissive. I want to clarify that it's definitely not it. I had this installed in me for a very long time until I discovered it recently that it doesn't, in order to be passive doesn't mean that I'm submissive. It's just, for example, if I feel like I deserve flowers and my boyfriend wants to buy me flowers, I'm going to take those flowers with pleasure because I know that I want those flowers and I deserve them. And someone who is more like submissive, like, well, I don't need you to buy me flowers, I can buy them for myself. It's learning to differentiate and understand that passive does not mean submissive, okay? I just wanted to clarify that because there's a huge misconception on that. When you are in your feminine energy, the way I like to describe it is it's like a river. It just flows. It just is. You don't push anything. It just naturally, when you're in at least me, I can talk about when I'm in my feminine energy, I'm just like, I embrace the inner goddess within myself. As you guys know, I love to use that analogy with myself because I feel and I know I'm a goddess inside. But it's a great, obviously if you're a male, you want to like, it just basically means that you go with the flow. You know what I mean? There's no like, I have to do this or it just is. And when you are in feminine energy, you're very nurturing. You're community focused. You're emotional, intuitive. And a lot of the time you're more magnetic because it's just, you know, in your feminine. And you basically speak to uncover feelings. So you talk to figure things out like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling like this. Like, I think we should talk about it. Instead of like, again, the masculine, you look inward and you talk about, you don't communicate. You're just dealing and rationalizing internally in comparison with feminine. You're like, let's talk about it. Let's discuss it. Okay. And one thing that I do want to clarify is that we have both of these energies, whether you classify as non-binary, male, female, whatever it is, every single human being has these two different energies. And it is crucial to find that balance because in every relationship, masculine and feminine attract. So again, when you find that balance, it's about finding and dancing with your partner and your significant other. Like, for example, going back to me, I have always been very masculine. I consider myself a very dominant person, at least in my professional life, where I'm very vocal. I am very like, let's get shit done, focused when I am operating off of CEO mindset. But when I come home and when I'm with my friends or my partner, I tend to be more feminine and I do vocalize. I'm emotional. I am very in tune with my emotions. I am very nurturing. I love to host people at my house. I love to cook for people and I'm very community focused. So I found that pendulum after 25 years of my life. I finally can say I found that pendulum where I can be passive and be feminine because for a long time I consider myself a very feminine person. And I had that misconception with being like, oh, I'm like, you know, I love my sexuality. I like being sexy. I like doing my hair and makeup. And for a long time, I thought this was what feminine meant. And that's something that I want to clarify. That does not mean that I'm living in my feminine energy when I'm operating off of masculine. I might look like it in the exterior, but internally, I'm being masculine. And that's something that I did learn to, again, operate and find that pendulum. And I think it's very important to know exactly where you are so you can also reevaluate, you know, if this is like, you want to continue being like that because, again, you attract what is your opposite. And I did want to bring it up that, you know, globally as a society, we tend to operate off of masculine energy. And I don't really want to get into politics, but this is why we see, you know, so much competition in the world and we have like wars and we have, you know, X, Y, and Z. You guys can put the two and two together. But the key to a healthy relationship, like I said, is finding that balance within your masculine and your feminine. And you want to be able to embrace both of them and, you know, play the part and dance with it with your partner, most importantly with yourself. And remembering that all relationships do start with yourself. So when you recognize where you are and you realize, you know what, I guess I'm too masculine. Maybe I should operate a little bit more of, emotion, be community focused, or acknowledge my feelings more. You can learn how to find that middle ground for you. And most importantly is like, how can you give love to someone when you don't love yourself? So the best, again, advice that I can give you guys is just realizing and analyzing where you are and embracing that, and realizing that there's nothing wrong with being masculine and being feminine. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Send this to someone who you think would resonate with it, and I'm sending everybody lots of light, love, and bendiciones. Bye, guys.